Welcome to the Podcast Discovery Show, the podcast that's about other podcasts, where every single week we have a book club style discussion about a podcast. And at the end of the episode, we're going to have a brand new recommendation. We're going to talk about that one next week. I'm Kirk.
And I am Zach.
And this week we're talking about A Hot Dog is a Sandwich.
A classic name, a conversation we've had. And then we learned about the cube rule, which makes all other conversations about this completely useless.
I forget what that rule was, though.
Oh, it's insane. I think that a hot dog is a taco, according to the cube rule.
A hot dog is a shoe. The show is hosted by mythical chefs Josh and Nicole from Good Mythical Morning. So they're the masterminds behind these crazy dishes that they put together on that show.
I will give it to them. Some of them are genius creations.
It's crazy.
Some are abominations. Yes, there is definitely abominations everywhere.
But there's artistry in those abominations.
I mean, yeah, he cooks it right. Well, just what he puts in it is disturbing. So because they always ask him and he starts giggling, and then you know it's going to be disgusting.
At least everything is boiled for safety.
I mean, yeah, I don't think they're going to get sick, but I mean, that is part of my favorite part of the show is them eating stuff that is made out of the Mythical Kitchen. It's just they really have created an entire kind of world of media, a whole world of content that they're putting out right now. And it's pretty awesome because I bet the show is doing pretty well. It's a great premise for a show. And they have a guest on here that immediately caught Kirk's attention, I'm guessing, because we've been watching his Netflix show. I think we've already burned through it. They have Daym Drops. And for people like me, who I guess are old enough, it really does date me at this point. This was like an early internet thing. He has a very famous video of eating Five Guys burgers and fries, and it was turned into a song. It was very, very famous.
Damn.
Yeah. And it was
I thought that was his name because the way that they write his name. I thought that was just his like stage name.
He was just saying his name over and over again once he ate the Five Guys burger. But yeah, so they bring in and his show on Netflix is Fresh, Fried, and Crispy, I think it's called. Okay,
let's talk about his show for a second before we get into this show. First of all, great premise. He's just fun. You know, it's so positive, and you can tell he just loves the food that he's eating, and he's just a likable guy. But there's some things I love about the show. And there's one thing I hate about the show. And I think we've talked about it a little bit already. I think we talked
about it recently because it's the only thing I don't like about the show.
Okay, let's start with what we hate. They have a thing every time with every single bite. The first bite that he takes of anything that he's trying, they have a really like slow motion
and really tight shot on his mouth.
Tight shot of his mouth, of him eating and biting in. And it's very auditory as well.
I mean, thank God it's not full ASMR. I wouldn't be able to watch the show. I think they usually have music going. You know, they have some kind of like magical music happening.
It's not overbearing and ridiculous, but it is the only thing about the show that I wasn't like, oh, this is great.
No, we've started to figure out that shows have a thing because that one show we watched where they're like, oh, On the Edge is what it's called. It's all about these restaurants that have amazing locations, but aren't doing well. By the way. It's a great show. Really fun to watch. There is not one scene in that entire show where people are walking in full speed. Every single time someone is walking, it's slow motion. And it's it's very dramatic. I'll say that. Either that or they all just walk so slow. Like just very very intentional.
That's definitely not the answer to the but in Fresh, Fried, and Crispy, the thing that I think is amazing is I don't know how they do it, but they get like this amazing shot of whatever the item is that's being fried from inside the fryer.
Yeah, and
it looks awesome. Somehow. And I have no idea how they do it. They have to have like a rig that they built for it that then they do it there on location. They have to.
Yeah, there's no other way.
It looks awesome.
You can't. I don't think you could put a camera in a fryer. And like
I would assume you couldn't.
It is, but I mean, it's also kind of like, and they talk about it a little bit in this episode. He wanted to bring food down to like an emotional level and not like a level of pretentiousness, because there is some element, and I think Josh talks about it too, where Food Network and traditional kind of talking heads on food, they like to, I don't know, try and elevate how they're talking to make it sound like they're very smart when they're talking about food. And Daym is different than that.
when the chicken tender hit the left side of my palate, I really got that oaky bitterness that comes.
Oh God, that sounds like the most disgusting chicken tender. Oaky bitterness. I don't think that is supposed to be a note. But yeah, no, exactly like that. Where it's like, oh my, it just settle down. But Daym doesn't settle down. He goes really hard at it, but it's just not like that. It comes off very genuine, and he's doing a show that's like about fried food, so it's more like comfort food places and like more like diners, drive-ins, and dives than it is like fine dining type show. And so in the end, I completely agree with you. He's extremely likable. His show's great. If you haven't seen his review of Five Guys Burgers and Fries, go watch it. It's really, really funny. And so they brought in the perfect person for their discussion on this episode, which was the best fast food hamburger.
Yes. And the only thing that I will have to say that kind of was a little bit of a drawback about this episode is that we don't have access to not even one of these burgers they talked about.
I noticed that as I was hearing this, because we really just don't have good fast food burgers down here. And even,
I think we have some that they don't have.
Okay, but here's the thing. I don't think they even classify the place. Here's where maybe we should start. Where do you go if you want a hamburger?
I mean, most of the time, if I want a hamburger, I'm in a place where I'm wanting to do something fast anyway. So I know that I'm going for not a great options.
I mean, honestly, I would go back to that place in St. Pete, but that's not fast food.
No. That's not even fast casual. That's a freaking restaurant that has burgers.
Yeah.
Like I would say probably on the upper end would be like Culver's. Culver's is good.
Yeah, Culver's
has good burgers. Everything's made to order. Steak and Shake's good because they make that. You got to be into that really thin patty because that's what it is. Like these really thin patties, but it's real beef. It's not like pre-processed, all that other stuff. But I would say that my go-to for ease of use, because the thing is Culver's is there's always a super long line, so it feels like it's not even fast food anymore.
Yeah, it is usually
takes so long. But is Checkers. Checkers has pretty good burgers.
Yeah, no,
They're
Big Buford is pretty good, pretty delicious.
It's pretty good. I mean, I know there's better out there, and I will say, Josh mentions this, and I'd never really thought about it, but he's not really wrong. All fast food burgers are about 90% the same. Like
it's true.
They kind of all have a very similar taste.
No, and honestly, that's why I liked Checkers for a while too, because it was kind of like it seemed like they seasoned it more. So I mean, they're probably masking the same burger taste you can get everywhere, but I feel like if I really want a hamburger, I either make it or I go to somewhere like fast casual. You know,
I think what Checkers does is it's probably the same beef. It's not that amazing beef, but they do not skimp out on the condiments. That thing is dripping with all of the stuff.
Cover that flavor up.
It's got all the things, and you're going to make a mess, and it's greasy, but it's good. And you feel, here's the only reason that I don't like going to Checkers that often. It makes me feel so fat.
Oh yeah.
Like it's one of those ones that you eat it and you feel like you need to take a nap. You don't feel heavy. Good afterwards. It's like when you go to Taco Bell and you get way too many tacos and burritos, and then you go home and you're like, that tasted great. Now I feel like a garbage person.
Yeah. 100%.
I feel like I have committed crimes against humanity and I don't deserve to live anymore.
I have tried a couple of the ones they talked about in the episode.
You have?
Yeah, because I've had In-N-Out, although I had it in Texas. So I'm sure all the Californians would be upset to hear that, but I did. There is a Shake Shack by where our new Whole Foods is. I haven't gone there yet, but I've heard good things. I've had Whataburger in Texas.
Didn't we go to Shake Shack in Orlando once? I think we did before Podcast Movement last year.
Oh, we might have.
When you and me went. Anyway.
We got distracted by the burgers.
We did get distracted by the burgers. Okay, so Dame's answer was Fat Burger. I don't know what Fat Burger is. It sounds great.
I will say I looked up pictures of it and I want to eat it. But honestly, that is kind of my other thing. Although I will have one caveat. I do not want a hamburger from McDonald's ever again. I can I'm done. Like really, I can't remember the last time I've been there. I feel like McDonald's is my one that I kind of have a strong stance on. Everybody else I can kind of get through and feel like I'm going to throw up. McDonald's, I just don't even want to eat it. So unless I'm in like a dire situation and I'm going to starve to death or something, I'm probably not going to go. But everywhere else, I agree with Josh. And like what you were saying, they're basically the same. It's like they put stuff on it so you can't taste the very cheap hamburger they're giving you. But other than that, you can kind of wing it. But there's
frozen hockey puck they threw on the grill.
Yeah, but McDonald's is the next level on that.
It's just so bad. Like my son still like, hey, what do you want to get on the way home? I'm not cooking tonight. McDonald's. I'm like, oh my God. And I will never get the hamburger. I'll get the nuggies and I know it's pink goo and I don't care.
No, it's a feat of engineering to like how good those things taste. Although I feel proud when I eat it because I feel like I'm recycling. There's nothing wasted. Yeah, I mean that's probably accurate. Yeah, just think of it as that way. Being
it makes me go back to my Native American roots of using the whole animal. That's what I think.
Bones and cartilages and things like that, and then you bleach them and then you eat them. But no, I agree with you. But I would say it's the same thing. Nobody. I honestly feel like I could probably draw this line in the sand. Everybody eats those nuggets with sauce. Nobody is just eating dry McDonald's chicken nuggets because that you're asking for pain. And so like they don't really have anything I want. And so that's the one I'll skip. Everybody else is kind of like, okay, I'll go try it. But then they were talking about ones that I really wanted to try out.
Right.
And Fatburger looks really good. I think Josh said, and I mean, Nicole said In-N-Out, which I had In-N-Out. It is good. It's good. It's better than McDonald's for sure. I would probably go to In-N-Out over any of my current options, but it's not like the best hamburger I've ever had, you know, and I haven't gotten to try the other two they talked about. So it's hard to tell.
And I love Daym talking about the bacon specifically. He talks about how his Wendys nearby, they know him and they hook him up. And I love how Josh and Nicole are like, that's clout. That's the level of celebrity that I want to get to one day.
That's how we'll know we've made it, is when we don't talk trash about one of these restaurants and they actually hook us up.
But he talks about like they do the bacon right at Wendy's. And they talk about some stuff that's like, it's kind of, there's some nuance to it. I mean, it's stupid because it's freaking fast food, but they're talking about how like back in the day, Wendy's used to have all these chicken sandwiches, and I didn't even I remember that, and I didn't think about it until they mentioned it. And now they like have almost none because chicken sandwich wars. They're like, nah, we're done, and they pivoted to like we're the bacon people, and
we're just bacon people now.
Pretty good, like it's not bad. I love how Daym describes it. He wants that rigor mortis bacon. That one is like, it's solid, it's thick, it's crispy, it's not floppy and look like something that you did in a science project.
I will say that he has some little phrases he throws out. Like he calls lettuce crispy water. And he never wants it. I think he calls tomatoes red circles of death, and he gets rid of those too,
or something like that.
Yeah. So he doesn't want any of that stuff. So he has like this kind of funny style on it all. But no, honestly, Wendy's, the move is the spicy chicken sandwich. They didn't even try on the whole like we're going to do a crispy fried chicken sandwich thing, but their spicy chicken was the one before all these ones. Well, I mean, besides Chick-fil-A, obviously.
And I think that Wendy's is kind of middle of the road for me.
Mid-tier.
It's not bad. I don't feel cheated when I get a Wendys burger. I'm like, it's pretty good. It's all right. So Daym had Fatburger, Nicole had In-N-Out, and then Josh, at first, he had The Habit, which sounds like kind of like where you and me went in St. Pete, which is a sit-down place. It's fast casual. It's not an actual fast food restaurant. So Nicole called him out, and she's like, hey, we got to follow the rules, man. This isn't a fast food restaurant, and you set the rules. So he had to change it.
I will say The Habit, I'm looking at pictures of it right now. It looks delicious.
Does it?
Oh, yeah.
So is the Habit the name of the place?
Yeah, it's called the Habit Burger Grill.
Got it.
And they make some, and I mean we've also learned about food styling, so I don't know how much I believe it, but they look delicious.
There's a bunch of cardboard between each piece, so it looks separated. Toothpicks and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
But his favorite fast food, when he had to actually be put his feet to the fire, was Jack in the Box, but the buttery Jack, which I haven't had Jack in the Box ever, but he said it's like as bad or worse than McDonald's, which is kind of hard to believe.
It is.
But for some, and he did not sell this one very well, because he basically described how bad the burger was, but then they like slather it in butter and it's so good.
No, but you're describing worst Culver's, because that's their whole thing is the butter burger.
Yeah.
They put like a little pat of butter on top of each burger, because I guess they're from Dairyland up in north, like Wisconsin or Minnesota or something.
All I know is those cheese curds are so good.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of dairy stuff happening at Culver's. Yeah. And they have the frozen custards too. It's really good.
Concretes, which I didn't know that was a thing until there.
Who knew? But in the end, they all had very different styles, and they really had a fun conversation about something as simple as choosing a favorite fast food burger. And it is tough, because sometimes you want a hamburger, and the problem is there is no fast food burger that would be where I chose. If I was like, I really need a hamburger, I wouldn't, that would not be my move. I end up getting something more. Like, I remember I used to work really close to a McDonald's, and so we'd run out of time a lot of times. We just have to walk over to McDonald's, and literally I got so sick of their food, I was eating salads and a parfait. Every time I went there, I would get a salad and a parfait. I'm like, you can't mess this up. It tastes like yogurt. It tastes like salad. Like, done. And so
I don't think they have either of those anymore.
They're like, stupid vegetables. Get out of here.
I know they don't have salads anymore, because they used to have. I mean, remember they had like the shakers. It was like I don't remember. It was like that. It was in like almost like a smoothie thing, but it had like a lid you could put on it. So you put the salad dressing and topping, and you just shake it.
I like how some marketing person's like, I have a genius idea. Have you ever seen someone make a martini? We're going to do that with
that's
salads.
What I do with my salads anyway. I'll just, if I have something that has a lid, I'll put the toppings on, I'll shake the crap out of it, mix it all up.
It seems like a genius way to cut down the amount of actual food they give you based on a gimmick.
Probably.
But yeah, so
that's probably the angle.
I don't know. I can't really. Honestly, I really like the format of their show. I like the idea of going at food, like controversies and things like that. I just personally don't really like fast food burgers. None of them really.
I don't either.
I end up wanting a burger after I eat one, because I'm like, well, it's like you smelled a hamburger, but you didn't get to eat it. And you're just like, well, damn it. That's not, I still want a hamburger. I don't know what that was, but I want an actual hamburger. But really fun show.
It's like Burger King. Burger King always smells good, because they got that flame broiler just going, and you pull up there and you're like,
You know, that's just like an incense burner, right?
But you get the burger and you take a bite and you're like, oh,
it always just
tastes like charcoal.
It just tastes like pickles, really. It just, I don't know.
If it tastes like pickles, I'd be into it, but it tastes like freaking burnt feet.
Just get extra pickles. No, it's kind of all, you have to pick which weird funk you want on your burger when you pick a fast food place. They all have their own special funk that is unique to their establishment, and you get to pick which one is your favorite.
Yeah. So I did like right at the end, they had like their own segment where they have like listener submissions. And I highlighted a few, like two of them that I thought I wanted to talk about, because they're just so weird. I'd never heard anybody talk about these things. The first one was pineapple and feta pizza. And I think that could work.
I think that would enrage the vast majority of people on the planet, because they can't even handle having pineapple on there with other normal toppings. And so if you're like, pineapple,
I'm not crazy about pineapple on pizza.
Well, I mean, oh no, it's ricotta that people used to do, like pineapple and ricotta as like a healthy snack when everybody was into, like, what was it? South Beach diet. You know what I'm talking about? Do you remember when people used to just eat that as like a breakfast thing?
Like with cottage cheese or ricotta. Mm-hmm.
That's what it would, I don't know. It seems weird with no like spiciness, no meat of any kind. That's Weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I would have to try it before I'd give an opinion on it. But this last one is weird. Oh, also, I want to talk about that baking show and that other thing that we just learned is a thing, like in Chicago, the the peppermint stick in a pickle.
Oh God, that
I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, just for a little background for everyone, when we have lunch at work, we've just been blasting through Netflix shows. So we're scraping the bottom of the barrel now. We're looking for whatever we can find. We've watched a lot of reality shows that we wouldn't normally watch, but we're bored at lunchtime. And we started
like cooking shows.
What's it called?
Like
Bake Squad.
Travel type shows. Bake Squad. That's what we're watching right now.
And they introduced us to something that is apparently like a Chicago thing that I've never heard of. And it was met with the reception that I anticipated and was kind of my original thought. They literally take a pickle and stab it with a peppermint stick, like a candy cane, and you just bite it. And so it's pickle texture and flavor mixed with peppermint, like crunchy candy cane inside of a pickle. And it's like, as soon as they said that, I was like, that sounds disgusting. And they had all four of the people on it try it. They were not fans because I think that the texture and taste is all over the place.
I'd try it.
I would try it. Just out of morbid curiosity.
We did the Kool-Aid pickles. I wasn't a giant fan. It was okay, but it was not something I was going to go do again. You know what I mean?
No, it was like a really sweet pickle. And it was it was unsettling having vinegar cherry. You know what I mean?
We made it. I made a whole jar of them and I took them home. I never ate any of them. I ended up throwing them out because I didn't want the rest of them because I just didn't like it that much. I let my kids try it. They didn't like them either. Apparently that was a thing. So I don't know. I would try it, but that sounds weird to me.
I'll try anything. I guarantee that I would not like it though. There's no way.
But I say that because this last one was one of the listener submissions talking about a snack. And this just sounds like something that you would only do if you're like super high and want all of these things, but you don't want to do them separately. So you just try to put them together. And it's bananas, sour cream, and sugar.
And it could also be like you haven't gone shopping in a couple weeks and you're like, well, I'm really down to just the last dregs of my fridge right now. Let's see what I can make.
Well, okay, if you got down to the last bit of your fridge, what would probably be in there?
I mean, probably in our fridge, it would be like, it would not be edible. It would end up being like a half jar marinara sauce. I mean, I guess I could make pasta. There's that. I could make pasta. I usually have leftover veggies for making salad. I could make some kind of a pasta situation with red sauce. And I don't know anything else. And then we have a billion condiments and hot sauces.
I was going to say, I think mine would just be bajillion condiments.
Yeah, so it's basically just going to be hot sauce soup
that you can do anything with.
Yeah, so
I do have some like worst case scenario dry beans and rice.
I do have dry beans and rice. So
I think I still have it from when the beginning of COVID.
Oh,
we didn't know what the freak was going to happen.
Yeah, no, I still have those bags of
clear
beans.
bags of beans and rice.
But I don't think beans go bad when they're like rocks, right? I think they just chill. I think they're just chilling, waiting to be rehydrated. But yeah, I have those too. And honestly,
do you have any weird snack things that you like that maybe other people think is weird?
Weird snacks.
I think we've talked about this a little bit, but it's something to talk about again.
Okay, I'll tell you a fatty snack I used to do that I don't know if anybody's ever done. Back when I weighed considerably more, which is saying something post-COVID, I basically would make brownies. And what I figured out is if you take brownies and you tear off a little piece of it and you mash it onto a pretzel, dynamite, delicious. It's like a pretzel bite with brownie wrapped all in it. And it tastes very good, but it will make you fatter. So beware.
I think this is one I've said before is I used to dip my popcorn in ketchup. And I did that because I remember my mom would always put hot sauce on her popcorn. And when I was a little kid, she would give me ketchup so that I would, feel like I had sauce on mine too, And so I created a taste for it at a very young age. Now I put hot sauce on my popcorn. I don't put ketchup anymore. But
he's elevated.
I have grown up
now.
I'm a grown up now. But I would say a few of the other things that I do that are maybe a little bit weird. Here's like a Southern, but like it's I don't know if it's even a Southern thing. It's more like a country thing, which could be just anywhere. Have you ever heard of popping peanuts, where you like put peanuts in a Coke, like put peanuts in Coke?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'll do that. I haven't done it in a long time, but every time I've done it, it's really good. Like, it just is. Don't get overly salted peanuts. If you can get ones that aren't salted, even better. It's a little bit weird when the bottom of your Coke is a little bit salty. But minus that, it's great because it's a snack and a drink. And another thing that I used to do is I really like, and I remember doing this when it would be like movie night. I don't know why I've got a connection between like when I was younger and going to Blockbuster, getting movies, getting peanut M&Ms, one of those bottled Cokes, and you got to put an M&M in and take a little swig of Coke, and then it makes the chocolate taste different. There's something about Coke that interacts with chocolate. It makes it taste different. It's good.
No, I honestly, this makes me want to explore more with snacks. I want to find more weird snack combinations to break out. I'm going to make that one of my little side projects. I want to find a snack combination that's going to blow the people's minds.
That sounds like a dangerous game you're playing here.
No, it's going to be good. I'm going to eat it in moderation, mainly because there's a good chance that they're going to be disgusting.
Well, all right. Yeah, that was our discussion of a hot dog as a sandwich. And yeah, go check out the show. It's fun. It's laid back. It's not super pretentious. And yeah. And also a hot dog as a sandwich, guys.
It's a taco.
It is. So that brings us to this week's recommendation. And I have another one. This has been on my list for a long time, but we hadn't gotten around to it. And especially now with the movie having come out just recently, we can bring it up again. And it is, how did this get played? So it's not, I love how it's like a play on how did this get made, but it's about video games. And this episode is about Mortal Kombat. And they have a special guest, Nathan Barnett. And I did not know until me and Zach were listening to this on a ride earlier that this is the guy. What is his character?
Keith Apicary, I think is his name.
Apicary. And I guess we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But yeah, it's a great show. They talk about Mortal Kombat. They talk about the game when it first came out. These folks know a lot about video games, and I love to hear people talk about nostalgia. And I was a little bit jealous about the nostalgia because, like, I don't have as much for some of these things because I didn't have the games. I would play them at an arcade or something like that. But yeah. So the show is How Did This Get Played? And the episode is Mortal Kombat with Nathan Barnett. And remember,
there's always more to discover.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.